So let's talk about the current state of TNA, folks. I don't usually do these videos unless I'm pretty happy about TNA. As you know, it's been since like Slamversary since I think I did a TNA video. So here's my thoughts on it. I think that TNA is in a great position now. A better one than they've been in a long, long time. Now, I didn't like Bound for Glory, but that goes into the fact that I don't like Austin Aries. That's because his past, I don't think he's, I don't think he's loyal. I mean, he showed up at a TNA event with a Ring of Honor t-shirt. It ended up leading to him getting fired. And then he showed no loyalty to Ring of Honor. He went there and went, fuck you, TNA, fuck you, TNA. But then as soon as he left and was back at TNA, he was calling Ring of Honor Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I wouldn't be surprised if he left again and was bad-mouthing TNA, and his new place was his new favorite place to work. But that also shows he's a politician. Not that I'm against politicians, but I am more against people not being loyal, because you can't build companies without loyal employees. So that's why I don't like Austin Aries. The reason I don't like Jeff Hardy is because, he's a no-show. There's a great chance he'll show up high, on drugs, and not able to perform at his maximum ability to perform, which still isn't very high, but that's neither here nor there. So, I wasn't very impressed with Bound for Glory, because I thought the main event should have been Bobby Roode versus James Storm. And after the last Impact, the one post Bound for Glory, I thought that it should be more. I thought Bobby Roode and James Storm's delivery during that promo was just great, absolutely phenomenal, and it made me wonder why, again, this wasn't the main event feud. At the same time, maybe they're pushing this down the road even more, and maybe they can somehow get it to next year's Bound for Glory. I've heard rumors that this could be a steel cage match on the UK television tour, where they do an Impact from the UK. I don't know about that, but here's what I do know. It does remind me of the Goldberg Hulk Hogan match that did the best WCW rating and the best WCW attended event. The problem with that is it was television, and it was not a WCW pay-per-view, and this would be television as well, and it wouldn't be a TNA pay-per-view, and that's kind of sad, I really would like to see this end at a pay-per-view. I would love for it to end at Bound for Glory. That doesn't make any sense why this. So I'm okay if this goes a whole nother. This just gets us to pushing this feud a little bit further down the road. Let's tilt this. Alright. I'm okay if this gets pushed down the road a little bit. And quite frankly, I would love it for it to go another year at Bound for Glory, because quite frankly, they haven't had a world title match at Bound for Glory, which would justify why they didn't do it this year at Bound for Glory, because they were planning on taking it a whole nother year. I'm probably being wishful thinking there, but it could happen. But let's talk about Championship Thursday, next Thursday. Some people are saying there's a lot of ridiculous matches on there, and that's so obvious who the winner's going to be. They got RVD versus Zema Ion. And let's talk about that first. Pause that for a second. I've said I was happy with where TNA was, and this is what I mean. Zema Ion is a strong, credible X Division guy. Jesse Sorensen is going to come in, and it's going to be a top player. Whether we'll like that or not, we'll see. And we got Sanjay Dutt as a shadow character, someone who can, play the mid role of the X Division and enhancement talent. And then we also, now we have an RVD, a name. Whether you like RVD or not, he's a name, and he's a, established name, and he brings credibility name-wise to the X Division title. and he has a lot of guys in contention, from Sanjay Dutt to Zema Ion to Jesse Sorensen at some point. So I'm perfectly fine with RVD being the X Division champion. I know some people won't be fine with that, but here's the deal. It's better than him playing around in the world title picture, which I think has no interest to it, or at least no interest left in it. And I think there's more interest in him in the X Division. I know personally, when I thought RVD, before he came to TNA, I used to think about RVD versus AJ Styles in an Ultimate X match. I used to like, in fact, I think I called in RVD Radio before he was in TNA, and I said, man, I would sure, and this was before Hogan, and I said, I sure would love to see you versus AJ in an Ultimate X match. And at the time, this is what he told me. He said, you know, people always talk about these dream matches that I could have if I went to TNA, and I'm past that point in my career, and what I really care about today is making money. And that's pretty much what he said. He says, I'm not in this business for the same reasons I was when I was in ECW. And you know, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, people. You know, and I know a lot of people are upset because that's how they feel. RVD feels now that he's at TNA. He got an offer he couldn't refuse from TNA, and that's why he inevitably came once Hogan stepped in and was offering more money. You know, but the fact is, me as a fan, I still want to see AJ Styles versus RVD in an Ultimate X match. Now, you know, AJ's in the playing with the tag title, so, and that's not a bad thing either. It just means that my dream scenario can't happen. And it probably wouldn't be the dream scenario I want, because I want RVD motivated, you know. But at least I would get a shell of my dream. Moving on, I want to talk about the tag team titles. I just kind of mentioned it with AJ. I think that division is strong as well. I mean, you got AJ and Angle, and you have Kaz and Daniels, and now you have Hernandez and Chavo. And I think this is good because Chavo and Hernandez weren't established as a top baby face tag team, and the best way to do that is to put the titles on them, and it instantly says they can win the tag team titles if they have them. And then all the teams that you have a little bit more established, you know, those are the teams you have to face. So there's quite a few tag teams to face, so I think that division's stronger than people want to admit. And if you were to do what a lot of people have talked about, like bringing the Briscoe brothers from ROH, that only, at this point, makes the division even more stronger, where before it was just a desperate cry to need another tag team. Now, this would be a great time to bring them in to make the division even better than it already is. Now, as I move on to the world title picture, I'm not sure if I went through this or not. I think the world title division is strong because you have Jeff Hardy, who is your champion, which I'm not too fond of, and Austin Aries, who I'm not too fond of, but let's be honest, he's a top guy. And you have Bobby Roode, top bad guy. James Storm's always there. Kurt Angle's always there. You could have AJ step in at any time. There's a lot to the top of the world title picture, and all guys seem like they could possibly win. So that division's pretty strong as well. Now, I want to talk about Championship Thursday. Back to that. You know, a lot of people don't like the matches because you got Zema Ion and RVD, and they say it's predictable that RVD is just going to retain. You got, you know, Tessmacher versus Terra. They say it's pretty predictable that you're just going to see Terra retain. And you got Jeff Hardy, and they once again, they say it's pretty predictable that Jeff Hardy is just going to retain. Well, here's my thing. Let's go back to a year ago. Bobby Roode didn't win. Kurt Angle kept the title. And following week on Impact, he put the title up and James Storm beat him. Now, anybody going into this match would have thought that James wasn't going to win the title here. That Kurt was going to retain. But that didn't happen. That's just my thoughts on that. Go to 9QA. Follow me on Twitter, 9QA on Twitter.